another edition of Ahead of the Curve. I'm David Thomas. This is Bo Gill. Bo, it's been a minute since we've sat down. Our busy schedules going around, got a lot of stuff happening, and it's just been tough to sit down, but we finally have, and it's at a perfect time, I believe. It is. Here before Independence Day, which next Tuesday we'll be celebrating. We want to wish everybody a happy 4th and a safe 4th, and remind people that are out shooting fireworks, check with the city ordinance. If you live within the city, there are times that you can shoot fireworks and times that you can't, and be safe while you're doing it. Sure. Public service announcement. Okay. Bo, we sit here, perfect timing, right after our county commission and our city council voted on their budgets.
Yes.
And I know that the city has a tax reduction.
Yes, they
do.
A
property tax reduction, which is well received.
Yes.
And they're in good shape financially moving
forward
next year.
To the city and the city
good
council.
Job,
Mayor Randy Carroll.
Mayor Carroll and the rest of councilmen. Good job on that. And then we have our county commission, which I watched it, and there were a lot of stops and starts in the middle of it, and I didn't hear it. It's kind of hard to tell what happened, but end result was we ended up with a budget without a tax increase. Now, I know you were present at that meeting.
I was.
Why don't you fill us in on what happened?
Well, first I'd like to say, thanks for those that worked hard involved, that we do not have a tax increase. I think anytime that there is no increase with recent trends, then I think everything needs to be applauded. So I would tip my hat and thank everyone involved in those decision process, that we are not putting more burden on our county residents here. I will say that there was, as we all know, last year an amendment was brought up to raise taxes
on
for
that
salaries
night,
on that night. Yeah. So this year there was an amendment brought up to actually decrease the taxes. It was a property tax proposed amendment to decrease the property tax by 15 cents.
15 cents from the 232 whatever.
From the 232.52 to 2.1752.
Okay, so 15 cents.
Yes.
That got misconstrued and said 15%. Well, how did that come about?
I think that they were just, I know that I think that they were just not wanting to deal or hear it. I do know that Commissioner Maddox, when he was saying the 15 cents, he did say 15%. I meant, he corrected himself. I don't know if somebody hung on to that.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Confused. I would say it probably an honest mistake whenever that came up, but it was not 15% a tax increase decrease. It was a 15 cent, which would have not put any more burden on. What that would have done was take off of debt services, which with this 15 cent decrease, we would still have a surplus in the debt services. We'd still be able to pay the debt. When Commissioner Maddox brought that up, he was almost suppressed immediately by Greg Vick, who went ahead to call the vote. But Commissioner Maddox did have his hand up first. So he was able, after a vote with the commission, he was approved to be able to present his amendment.
Okay.
But before that, Commissioner Vick jumped up. He was ready to pass it through.
Why would you want to be against a tax decrease? But here's the thing about it. The argument would be, well, we're going to have to cut something. But in fact, this particular amendment, the way I understand it, the way I heard it for the most part, it was the money's there.
The money was there. It was almost as if it was brought up and we don't want to listen to what anything you have to say, despite the people of Bedford County and the well-being and the economic burden right now that everybody's going through because of the economy. It was almost as if it was like, okay, hurry up and get it out of the way and let's vote this through, because the motions that came up were quick. They were almost suppressing any type of discussion on it. They were trying their best to do that. And then here we are, we have, like, I applaud there's no tax increase this year. That's great. But even a proposed tax decrease was met with it did not approve. It failed. It got 4 yeses and 14 noes. Our 4 yeses for that were Eric Maddox, Anita Epperson, Diane Neely, and Drew Hooker. Those are the only 4 that voted for you and I to have a tax decrease The other ones voted against that tax decrease.
And let me get this right. We're in Bedford County that voted 78% for Donald Trump in the last election.
Yes.
That's our conservative base.
That's right.
This is a conservative move.
That's right.
Conservative move.
That's right.
To reduce taxes when you can.
Yes. It was
without putting a burden on the county.
Without putting a burden on the county.
And when I say county, I'm saying county government.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
To heck with the 55,000 that live here. It's the well, never mind. Don't get me going down that path.
It's almost a personality. It's like the commissioner that brought it up. It's like because he brought it up, it's just shut it down right now. It was almost like that. It was like they didn't want to hear it, and even though that they just voted against a tax decrease, when 2 or 3 months before they voted. Most of the same ones voted for a tax increase that we didn't need.
The wheel tax.
The wheel tax. It
was going to be a wheel tax.
It was.
They were going to take away the citizens' right to vote,
and then
they were going to pass it.
And then and now here we are with a decrease, and most of the same ones, but even more, a few more that surprised me, voted against a decrease. And I don't know if they just wanted to go home. I don't know if they just wanted to leave well enough alone. It sounded like that was the argument that we've worked hard. I think Commissioner Vick said we've worked hard on this, so we get where we're going. But there was actually a solution for a decrease, and they didn't want to hear it.
Okay, was there any questions brought up? From what I could tell when I was watching this, it looked like they had to vote whether or not they could even take questions and have discussion.
They did.
That's preposterous.
It is very preposterous. It was as soon as it was read by Mayor Graham. Greg Vick jumped out of his shoes to call the vote without any discussion.
Why are they afraid of questions?
I don't get that. And I with all due respect to Commissioner Vick, I don't understand why they want to push something through so fast. It looks so shady when you're jumping out of your boots to push something through. I mean, it just does. Now, we will again, I'll say it again, thank you that we didn't have a tax increase. But for them not to even want to entertain, they didn't want to hear it. They did not want to hear from Commissioner
Okay,
Mathers.
so why? Why is that?
Well, I do not know. And that's why I say it could be personal. It could be that they don't care about the people of Bedford County and the constituents. That it could be that they just want to do what they want to do because it's their kingdom, when really they could have had a chance to help Bedford Countyans. They missed the boat there, and now they're on the record. They're on the record, and we won't let them forget it. I mean, I hope that's one thing in politics. You have a voting record.
Okay, who again? Let's go over it. Eric Maddox, Anita Epperson, Diane Neely, and Drew Hooker voted to pass a tax decrease, and 14 commissioners voted against a tax decrease.
That is correct.
You got to think some of them didn't understand what they're voting for. Obviously, you got to.
I would hope so. I mean, if little old me understood it, and a lot of other people did, then they're not doing their homework, they're not listening, or they're just so focused on getting it through and not having to do some hard work that they're voted in there for, and not spend some extra time on this to work together collectively. It's like they just shut you down. Like, let's pass it.
I feel like that I need to get Eric on here to explain his proposal.
Yes, you do.
And get him on here and let him explain what he was doing.
Yes.
So it's clear to the public,
I think it would be.
What these 14 commissioners rejected.
That's right. Because I'm not a commissioner. I'm seeing it from the sidelines. I do know and I do have a pulse of what's kind of happening here. But what I noticed was some that do claim to be conservative and Republican were not acting like it when it comes to the most important, and the people saw it. I'm hearing so much feedback from that, and a lot of people didn't see it, and that's another issue, that the communication with the live feed all of a sudden got interrupted.
Yeah, technical difficulties.
But they did correct it, and now they do have the audio online on YouTube. So it was technical difficulties, but it's just kind of.
Well, it was odd. It was right in the middle of that presentation.
It was, but that might have been just technical difficulties.
Whatever, it could have been a glitch.
Yes.
So I would like to get Eric on here to explain that. It is my understanding that we are overfunding our debt service line item, and we're earning massive amounts of interest each month there.
Right.
I want to get somebody that is an accountant that understands that and maybe Eric can dive into that a little bit and explain actually what's going on there, and how. And one thing for sure, I do know that tax decrease was not going to do away with raises. It wasn't going to do away with funding of anything at all.
It was probably the best option.
It was going to shift some of the money that's stacking up in this debt service fund into the budget line items. And for some reason, we don't want to do that. What's going on with this money that's sitting here in this little pool?
Well, I would encourage.
That's the question.
That is the question. And I would encourage everyone that hears my voice to contact their commissioners and ask them why. It's not the way.
These are representatives. They're not bosses.
We talk a lot about the Constitution, the founding fathers, the framers of the Constitution. This is not the way it was intended to be. And to get almost suppressed when you're really just trying to have a discussion and actually trying to help the people of Bedford County by taking less of a tax burden off of them, and getting nowhere and shut down. It was sad to see. But again, I'll say it. Thanks for all the hard work that there is not a tax increase. We're not unappreciative of that. It
makes me question why we were going after another tax.
It does.
If we could have done this all along. That
does.
Smells bad to me, and
I
can't say thank you for that. I'm sorry. You're gracious. You're gracious.
I am
Bob,
gracious.
But I want to ask you this.
Gracious.
Did Bill Anderson try to get this unpacked where you had 4 different line items and vote on them individual? And I heard that got shut down.
It did. He got shut down. He brought it up at first. There was some, I guess, dissension against the timing of when he brought it up. He respectfully said, okay, we'll bring it up later. Well, they almost tried to run it through, and then they brought it back up, but they voted against doing that. So they didn't.
And why would you vote against that?
I don't know, because all that is that takes the burden off of several commissioners that are county employees from voting on, well, what they're making, what they're getting. It would take out the conflict of interest, but it is legal through the state the way that they do it.
Absolutely.
And that was their argument. But I respect and I thank Commissioner Anderson for bringing that up and trying to get that through. But once again, that any
kind of move toward transparency and questions for it's open to the public is gone.
Yes, but
that should tell us something.
Yeah, but that's going to change July the 1st, because the people, Tennessee state law, July the 1st, all public meetings, you have a right to talk. The public has a right to talk. Now it has to be on the items on the agenda. You can't bring up the oil wheel tax. You can't bring up the guy don't mow the yard down the road. It has to be items that are on the agenda, but you can speak now legally. They have to hear you. They don't have to respond to you, but be heard. And that is July the 1st. That goes in, here next week. So remember, you can speak, and it has to be things on the agenda, but that's state law that you have to be heard. So they're going to have to hear some things. Now, whether they'll act or whether they'll listen, I don't know. But I take it up on us all to, if there is an issue that's on your mind, talk. This is how it is.
For some reason, it seems like this group is scared to death of transparency.
It is, and I don't understand what there is to hide. It's our money. It's my money. It's your money. It's everybody that's listening to me's money in Bedford County. It's Bedford County, and it's. You don't know. You want to know, then you're not going to get any transparency. And it seems simple, and that's my whole argument. It's not a personality thing. It's just for transparency in the government. It's not. It doesn't seem that hard to me, but I'm missing something. Apparently.
Right. Well, when you have as many county employees on the commission as you do, you basically have control over them.
Do.
Okay, you got control over them.
You do, and that is a conflict automatically.
Yeah. So. Any kind of questions that comes from them, it's going to be shot down.
Yes.
Automatically. And I guess they've been trained not to.
Yes.
So that leaves another small handful that will go along.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a handful that are wanting to ask questions. And that group is the majority, and they're going to squish that because they don't want questions. So it's basically a dysfunctional.
It's dysfunctional
representation.
That is not how it is intended to work.
No. Now, this goes up the chain to the state level and to the federal level, big time at the federal level. But we are responsible for what we can do here. And
we
there's
can
going to
do
be
things.
there's going to be stuff happening.
There will be.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
That's right. Whatever it takes to get us back on track, to be transparent, conservative, of representation of the people, not leadership. We want representatives.
That's the thing. I guess this is a question for anybody that watches this, and I hope a lot of people do, and I hope they'll share it.
I do too.
Do you want any say-so in your local government, or are you just good with letting them do whatever just because they've always done it that way? Would you like to have a voice?
Do you like being ran over? Do you like being taken advantage of?
That's a question.
Not being heard?
And I'm just wondering, what's it going to take next? I don't know. I don't know how much more blatant that you got somebody that's wanting to stand up and they get knocked down. Well, it's time to stand behind these people and help them.
It's time to stand up. And if you can make meetings, go to meetings. Don't just listen to them online. Go to them. Be seen.
Well, I think the biggest thing is just light those phones up. Call your commissioner. If they don't answer, keep calling. Keep leaving messages. Don't stop. If you have to, put a billboard up. If you have to, put an ad in the newspaper. If you have to, come on here and appeal to your commissioner. I challenge every commissioner to start listening to their constituents instead of listening to the good old boy network.
Yes.
And shut this down right now.
Yes.
Let's get off our soapbox.
All right, I'm off.
Hey, I don't care how bad government is. Bedford County is still a great place
We're
to live.
still a great place to live.
And we appreciate our Bedford County employees. We're sorry that you're caught up into a political game
Yes.
where you're a pawn. I promise you, next election time, this is going to change.
It will.
All right, Bo, thanks for sitting down.
Thank you, David.
And we'll talk again about more pleasant things
Yes.
coming soon.
That's right.
Thanks for watching, guys. Please share this and get out there and talk to your commissioners. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
See you.